It's quite large families in those days. My father was one of 11, but he also regaled about things like being a 12-year-old, one of his trips, going up to Beverley Beck, waiting for a cargo, and his dad said, right, you stay there, here's a shilling, and get yourself to pictures, get yourself some food, I'm off home for the weekend. And I don't think he cycled, like I heard the thing, but he would have got back to Thorn and then come back on the Monday to get loaded up, but left a 12-year-old looking after the barge.
After the barge, right.
And it was my dad's turn to do it. He was the youngest, because all the others had become mates, skippers, whatever, through the time, all over the place.
And what did he think to that as a 12-year-old then?
He thought it was the norm.
Yeah, right.
And that was it. And I remember going on a similar trip, but not up the Hull. We went to Rotherham, and he just said, right, there you are, first time on the boat, here's the wheel. And he went down and made a cup of tea. Well, I was going up the canal, like.
Was on motorboats before, so this is what, like, when you went for your lighterman's bulk, they wanted to know you'd done it before. You know, they didn't want you if you hadn't done it before.
Right.
So, like, you know, they wanted to know who you'd worked for, and you know, and all three of us was all on motorboats beforehand.
Right.
So it was all greenhorns when we went lightering.
Right.
So I was all in the same boat, like, yeah.
Yeah.
For example, you were walking to your lighter and you found a ship's mooring rope that had snapped, and the end was left on the bollard with the eye in it, and maybe 10 foot of rope. That was a big heavy rope made of manila. Wow, got a start. So you would then take that aboard, and then you would search for every bit of manila rope that you could find. Now, one of the hardest things about lightering was that you were only provided with mooring ropes on the lighter, which were big heavy ropes and towing ropes. You never had any ropes that, you know, I talked about lassoing.
Yeah.
You never had any ropes that you could do that with. So if you found a bit of rope anywhere that was we called it handy, you would get that and use it to help you mooring, to help you get the craft about and whatever. It was made of manila, and if you got a start on what you were going to sell, you would then search every lighter and pinch every bit of manila that was available until you had as much as possible.
Put it down the forks.
Put
Somebody would see you and beat you to it.
Come and pinch it, won't they? Yeah. And then when you got up the harbour, because you knew the lighter you was taking was going past these recyclers, you would offload it, take it, 2 or 3 quid in your pocket. And
Hence the term money
Use
for
the
all rope.
Had a barge in Prince's Dock, and it went down. It was full of sugar, and of course all the fish that were in the dock came to the surface. Drunk, yeah. And people had a great time scooping them out, you know.
taking a lighter up to Premier, that was opposite Chamberlain Road, and to the Premier Mill, and it was what they call neap tides, and so we're having to assist it all the way. We're having to really push it to keep it going, because Premier is one of the further points up the River Hull to get to. So we're having to push it. I'm pushing with the boat hook against some timber. The boat hook has a spike that you can stick in. The wood gave way and I went head first into the river. Pulled myself out. We put it alongside the jetty. Got my bike ashore and biked home because I only lived a bit up the road. And I went to the doctors on the night. I said I fell overboard. I did know that North Sea ferries were in for some men for their extra ships that were coming. I went to see the port doctor the next day. I had the L taken off my book. L meaning I was a lighterman. He supported me. He said, "Oh yes, you'd be frightened to death now. Take take the hell off. I was allocated to North Sea Ferries, and I became a truck driver at North Sea Ferries.
Right, okay. You see, when Keith's just saying about him breaking that stour, that boat hook, there must have been a flaw in it because he never put his hard end back into anything. You know what I mean?
My mum was frightened to death. She was absolutely frightened to death. But of course, at that age, we had no fear whatsoever.
Yeah.
We just enjoyed being there, and you know, to other people that we spoke to, our 6-week holiday was an adventure.
Right.
Because of course we was actually travelling on this boat, and you know, coming down where the bunks were, you know, where we used to sleep, and we always remembered the stairway was always really red hot because of the belly boiler underneath.
Right.
And but the smell and everything was just lovely, and condensed milk.
Yes. Smells to me. It smells
Warming, a real warming smell, but oily and working.
Pretty much similar
industrial
to now as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
What you can smell now.
Yeah, but just real contented, you know, homely feeling about being, I suppose, being there with your family, and while your dad was working, and Mum sometimes used to go off and do the washing and come back, and you know, wherever we was travelling to, it was always obviously within some sort of reach.
I worked for Gilliott's, and I was in the office, and of course my family before, they've all, shall we say, got their hands dirty, but I was the first one that didn't, and I learned that when I went to an aunt's funeral, and a cousin that I hadn't seen for about 30 years said, "Oh yeah," he said, "you're the one that didn't get his hands dirty." But I come from a long line of trawlermen, mainly engineers, and my great-great-grandfather took the first steam trawler from Hull to Newfoundland, and he opened a canning factory there.
Do you have your favourites that you preferred working
No.
on?
Yeah,
Oh,
really.
yeah.
Smaller,
Although there was one or two.
smaller the better.
Yeah, there was one or two, like that Firecrest of Scots. Do you remember that one? Big
Number 17,
square,
big square,
17, big
full
square bloody thing. You couldn't steer it, you couldn't handle it.
back end on it, no.
It had no shape, it was just literally a box.
Yeah.
You couldn't steer it, it wouldn't follow the
We,
tug.
no. We dropped up harbour at half tide once with that, me and Bill, and we Chapman Street Bridge, the boatman there, Jesus Christ, you've never seen, well, you never used to get, you couldn't get the bridgeman out, could you, really?
No.
There was really out that day.
Not a chance.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, right, we hit it bloody good style, 200 ton in it, man.
Wow. Good morning, everybody. I'm Ken Knox, ex-Hull trawler skipper. That's what the excitement of open bridges is, because I'm learning more about it. I'll know more, and then I can educate people to talk about it far more. We're talking about the two ladies using this as a playground. Well, our playground was Victoria Pier when we were children. We'd spend hours and hours on there, you know. We'd leave home in the morning and never go back till tea time. All spent round this, you know, looking at the horse wash, and then we'd venture further up. One of the best things about in them days that I'm talking about is there wasn't really the security, you know. You could wander around and watch all the waking going on and everything. So, you know, watching the bargemen and the lightermen, you know, was a very exciting thing for a young chap. And then we actually, when we finished playing here on the River Hull, we ventured up market and went playing on St Andrew's Dock.
Right.
You know, as little children we used to bet each other who durst climb up the rigging, you know, before the watchman came and caught you.
Yeah.
So we were
I'm Geoff Shipman, but my granddad was called Albert George Tune. Initially he worked in a warehouse at Brough, but he was soon working on the River Hull as a docker, but he was a young lad. And because he was the young lad, the dockers would send him to the illegal bookie with their cash bets. And he must have been quite bright, because he soon worked out he came back a lot lighter than he went. And so he started standing the bets himself, which must have taken some arithmetical knowledge, because he would have to work out you know, what the odds were, what horses won.
Or just sheer bravado.
Oh, bravado. But I wouldn't like to have, you know, tried to pull the wool over the dockers if it, you know, if it was telling porky pies. So he then obviously made some money. He set himself up officially as a commission agent, which was a legal bookmaker on Holderness Road, taking bets on credit, but the real money was to be made obviously in cash bets. So eventually he ended up owning a club, a working men's club on Queen's Dockside, where Queen's Gardens is now.
Right.
He bought a posh house in Ferriby. That was by 1914, before 1914, and he couldn't drive, but he hired a chauffeur. He had a housekeeper, and I think he'd done pretty well for himself. I think rather than follow the family tradition, working on the Humber on the boats probably was a wise decision.
Yeah.
And he did tell my mother that if the war had lasted another year till 1919, he would have actually been a millionaire.